Hey there everyone, my name is Keno and welcome back to our Butte Bandits expansion franchise mode series here on the channel. Now, in the last episode, we ended it off by doing a little fun experiment, okay? I called up our former 9th overall pick in Maxwell Ellison, ran him for 10 games, and he did well. 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points in 10 games, but that's to say I did send him back down. He's back down with the Burnaby Aces, running the double line time again, because I still have hope that he can develop, especially with a very successful small stint in the NHL. Hopefully we can get a potential upgrade. Maybe he'll go from a low top 6 to a medium top 6, or even to a low elite. That would be great. But we had to make some changes because I think this team can make the playoffs. We're not doing too stellar right now. We had some ups and downs in the last video to start the season, and I don't know if those will continue, if they'll become more drastic in the downs, or if we'll have more successful longer stretches. I'm not sure. But for this episode, we have about 10 to 13 games roughly before the trade deadline, and it's just going to be experimenting. We're going to be seeing what this team can do. That's why we have Krebs, Beecher, Besser as our top line, and Harvey Pinard called up from the minors, as well as Yakov Trenin, to run with Dubois on that third line. Now, is this going to be the confirmed third line that we run? No. We know only one line here is not changing, and that's the second line. Pruka, Appleby, and Shabrikov have been unbelievable. I usually struggle so much putting 3 rookies on the same line. It is usually just a bloodbath for them, and they end up having to be broken up and put a veteran somewhere on the line. Right now, the veteran on that line is Shabrikov, with 1 year of NHL experience, and look what he's doing with them. 42 points in 51 games this season. He is doing amazing. Cooper Appleby, 27 goals as an 18-year-old still in this league. Stellar performances. And Dominic Pruka, yes, he's 19, but he's almost point per game as well. This line is doing great, and their plus minus show that they're not a detriment to the defense. They're doing well. So it just comes down to solving what's happening on that third line and really the first line. We know that Besser's not going anywhere. I'm not sending him down to the third line. He's got 51 points in 51 games. I'm keeping him like that. I would love to get someone to compliment him. I think that Dubois could be that. And Krebs is doing very well as well with 37 points in 51 games. He's cooled off a bit since we sent him down to the third line in favor of Maxwell Ellison getting some ice time. But I think this line could work. It's a matter of the third line in my eyes and the backup goalie position. Hrabal has started to get it together. A 901 save percentage, 3.24 goals against average with 14 wins in 27 games played. Not too shabby. Pretty decent for a 21-year-old rookie. Gustafsson, they played the exact same amount of games and they got the exact same amount of wins. It's just that Gustafsson, it's odd, okay? Let me say this. Gustafsson has a lower save percentage, but also a lower goals against average. Whereas Hrabal has a higher save percentage, but a higher goals against average. It does show right now that Hrabal has faced almost 100 more shots than Gustafsson. So, I don't know. Do with those stats what you will, but I do trust Hrabal to do the backup role for us. I wouldn't mind grabbing a third goalie, because, knock on wood, we make it to the playoffs. If Hrabal isn't ready, we can't just depend on Philip Gustafsson, because if he's not ready too, we're up a creek without a paddle. We need to have some sort of third goaltender. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a veteran, and it doesn't have to be a rookie who's coming into his own. I don't really actually want a rookie. I'd rather someone who's probably around 26 to 32 years old to fill that role. Well, I wouldn't mind an older goalie if they have a higher overall, but we're going to be keeping our eyes open for that. For right now, we're going to take this team on a small test run and see how they do. Now, I ran Hrabal for a long stretch in the last video, and I was considering it up until just a few seconds ago, where I saw that he was getting heavily outshot. I think it's time to knock him to that second pairing. And as for the defense, I'm liking the idea of Miller Myers, Alexiak, Montour. Hopefully Montour can get that plus minus in check. That current minus 13 is not anything that I like to see. we're going to get started here with our little experiment. We're going to get through the trade deadline in this video and see how it goes going into the final stretch of the season. Now, this game here against the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're doing a bit better than us. We've been 5-3-2 through our last 10. They're 7-3-0. Both have suffered 3 regulation losses. We have 2 pity points from 2 overtime losses, but I think we got this one. I know it sounds weird. They have a better record than us. We've have a history of being a struggling team, but I think we got this one in the bag. I'm going to quick sim it because we do have a lot to do in this video. Let's see what happens, and we lose it. So yes, this team continues their tradition of letting me down when my hopes begin to rise, but I think we'll bounce back here against the Islanders here, and it's a 7-3 loss. I have my rule of 2. After 2 games, or if a goalie loses 2 out of 3 games, they're sent to the backup. Hrabal needs to sit. We need to test these lines. I'm doing 1 more game for Gustafsson. If that doesn't go well, I'll put Hrabal in and we'll look at the lines again. If it does, we'll keep it going. Against the Philadelphia Flyers, and it's a 5-2 win. See? A little bit of patience. We're 3-5-2 now, so we kind of flipped the losses and the wins, but we're going to get back into it. Against the San Jose Sharks, who are kind of a middling team, but they're on a good last 10 streak here. Let's see what happens. It's a 6-5 win, so yes, Gustafsson was shaky, but we still pulled out the win against the Calgary Flames, who are definitely middling, but again, somehow on a little bit of a heater lately. Let's see how we do against them. It's a 3-2 loss. I don't mind that loss. It's pretty close. It's just a 1-goal loss. Against the Colorado Avalanche here in Game 57 of the season, it's a 2-1 shootout win, so now the team seems to be falling into a rhythm. Let's see how we go. 2 more games, and then I'll switch him for the back-to-back. Against the New York Rangers, it's a 5-4 win in overtime. We have a lot of games go to overtime. I'm gonna go through and see at the end of the season how many of our wins were overtime wins, because we know how many overtime losses we have, but our overtime wins, like, we've got 2 right there, and I swear we've had more. Again, first half of the back-to-back against the Detroit Red Wings. Let's see how Gustafsson does here. Game 59 of the season. It's a 6-4 loss. So it is time for him to sit for a bit. We know that he had 699 shots before, or saves, I guess. Now he has 935. That is a ridiculous amount of shots faced. 895 save percentage, 3.29 goals against average. He's been bombarded lately. Let's see how that top line's done. So we know that Krebs had 37 points. So in the last 8 games, he's had 5 points. That's pretty good. Dubois, I left him on the top line. I meant to try Beecher. Oh my gosh, what an idiot. How's Beecher done? He's got 18 points in 42 games and a -8. So maybe it's not the greatest idea to put him on the top. Yakov Trenin, 1 goal in 8 games. And Rafael Harvey-Pinard, 1 goal in 8 games. So that third line, it was nothing. But maybe it was because Beecher was there. I'm not sure. I'm not knocking Shabrikov down. We're going to put, we're going to give Coleman, Dubois, Trenin as our third line for the next 2 games. I'm just giving them 2 games because we don't have time to waste. Here we go against the Seattle Kraken. It's a 4-3 win. And now against the Boston Bruins, who are just above 500. Let's see how we do. It's a 3-1 win. Okay, we're going to keep it going against the Minnesota Wild. Last game of this experiment, 3-2 shootout loss. So not too bad. Not too bad. Krebs, again, he had 2 points in those 3 games. Beecher didn't have a single point, but he was a plus at least. But it looks like he's slowing that line down. How's Coleman done? We didn't really know what he had before. Harvey-Pinard didn't get a goal, and Trenin got 1 more assist. We need to bump up this third line. We need to give them something because they don't have anything right now. Again, we have Jack Thompson, who I'm pretty determined to move out. Boone Jenner hasn't done well. Radek Fox, I didn't even give him the time of day. I don't know why I signed him, but you know, Hrabal has done well. He's gotten 2 wins in the 3 games that we played him, and 905 save percentage. So maybe he even takes the starter role for this last stretch of the season, and we'll get Gustafsson back in toward the end, or even in the playoffs if we make it. It's time now, though. We know where our weakness is. I've already done a quick little look around the league, and I have a few targets in mind for who I want to acquire. Now, it's mostly from one team, if I'm being honest. I've looked through a few of them. There are some bigger names on like rental deals, such as Chandler Stevenson. He's not a rental. But like Tanner Pearson, William Karlsson, I know Mark Stone was here, and I was actually looking at making a trade for him, and then I saw that he had a 4-year extension, so I was immediately out on him. There are some players here available, but it's players more that aren't available that I was looking at. Players more that are younger on a team that really can't give them the ice time to grow, and one of those being the Arizona Coyotes. Now, you'd think, their record is pretty rough. You'd think with this roster they wouldn't be struggling, but they are, and that's why I think they'd be willing to move out a few players. Now, I was looking at their forwards, and a few names jumped out at me. Like, I was thinking about Nick Schmaltz, but 6 years, $9.5 million. It does fit in with our structure of our contracts, but I don't want to sign him till he's 36, sorry. It doesn't work for me. He's done great, but what if he drops off? I'm too afraid after what happened with Sam Reinhart. Dylan Guenther's available. He's got a contract extension, but I wasn't too concerned about that. But the names that really got to me, and I think that we're going to bring in, one is more of a long-term option, one is more of a short-term option. The two names were Claude Giroux for the rest of the season. He's got 47 points in 60 games so far, playing roughly third line minutes. And Barrett Hayton. He's got 29 points this season. Great individual attributes, but if you also look at his season last year, it was 48 points, before that 34 points. He can get almost 20 goals, and this is a struggling Arizona Coyotes team, so I wonder what he would do. Now, the biggest thing about getting these two is they're both multi-positional players, and not only are they both multi-positional players, but they can cover a full line, with Giroux being a center left wing and Barrett Hayton being a center right wing. Both pretty cheap in their value, and that was like a big target for me. And then I also thought about getting an upgrade on defense. Now, I looked at their defense, and again, they somehow have a stacked defense with players coming up like Simashev and Chromiak. And yes, Simashev would be great. He's listed at top 6 already. He's listed as a sniper too, so make that make sense. But I don't want to go for that. The idea that I had was instead to go for Nick Hague. Okay? Now, you may be wondering, how are you going to get Nick Hague, Barrett Hayton, and Claude Giroux? And unfortunately, the answer is quite simple. We are moving on from a key piece of our defensive core. Now, it might seem insane, but I think it's the way to go. I was thinking about who to do. Montour has been struggling a lot, but he can put up a lot of points. If we can get him next to a good defensive defender, as is Nick Hague, maybe he would explode. Brett Pesce has been dominant with Sam Girard, and both of them are locked up for the next 3 years after this, so we know we have our top, or at least top 4 pairing. The other name, even though he's listed as a high elite currently, was K'Andre Miller. I don't like playing him on the third line. He deserves more ice time. He hasn't gotten off to the greatest play with us. I do love K'Andre Miller, but he's not the fit for the Butte Bandits, sadly. I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think I could make this trade go through with anything else aside from like a Krebs or a Pruka or one of our top players. Yes, we can move out Danil Yurov, but he's part of our future plans too. It doesn't make sense to move him out. I thought about Sven Borstrom, and you guys can say maybe I'm stupid. I don't know if he'd get it done. Like, I'll add him here and we'll see. Because no, I don't want to move out K'Andre Miller, but I think it has to be done. We'll move out Borstrom a second, and then we do have some goalie prospects. I'm not giving up Rousseau. He's staying with us forever. But I think it's Jussi Harakala that we drafted. Jyrki Harakala. Drafted him in the second round, 40th overall in the 2025 draft. It's already not looking good. We need to add more to this trade to even have them think about putting it through. And I don't really have much I can move out. I'm not moving out Maxwell Ellison, not a chance in hell. Oliver Turnstrom, let's see if that is enough. No, we have to add one more player. I'm not moving out JT Compher because it's just going to add negative value to the trade. Yeah, let's move out another forward. They want Amadeus Lombardi. They want anyone else. Jekko is not signed. Mahalek's not signed. Alright, if you want Amadeus Lombardi, we'll give you Amadeus Lombardi. That gets it to an okay value. Maybe this goes through. Maybe I don't have to trade K'Andre Miller. I gave that big spiel and maybe we get to keep him. It'll be hard to work him into the lineup with Hag probably staying next year, since since I don't really want to lose him for nothing. He will be a UFA if I'm not mistaken at the end of the season, so we'll have to see. But Forsstrom, Harakala, Tarnstrom, Lombardi, and a second-round pick from the New York Islanders in this draft for Claude Giroux, Barrett Hayton, and Nick Hag. All of them currently standing at kind of rental contracts. Will this go through? It will. Okay, so they want to waive Trenin, Alexiak, and Beecher. I don't know if I'll actually lose them, but I'm not too... If we lose Beecher, I'm kind of okay with that. I did extend him to 5 years after this one, but he's just been dog water. So we're going to make this trade. This will be our big trade deadline move. Let's see how this goes. This seems like a sweet proposal. You know what? I don't think I gave up too much. I think losing Forsstrom is kind of a little bit cheaty there, so we're okay with that. And in the minors, Beecher did get through. It doesn't look like Alexiak got through if he was sent down. He wasn't. Okay, so I think we're fine. I don't think we lost anyone there. And we will be running with Harabel. I don't think... I know the Arizona Coyotes also had Martin Jones, but I don't think we could have made it work. So look at that. We already have 3... Honestly, nowadays, 3 great centers. But we're going to put Hayton with Krebs and Besser on that top line. We're going to move Coleman down to the fourth line, across from Harvey Pinard and Lawton. We're going to put Claude Giroux on the left side here. Oh, I took out Barrett. I took out Cooper Appleby. That's why I was like, why is there still a hole in the first line? There we go. 2 games before the trade deadline left. We'll go through them right now. Oh, and Besser already has 31 goals in the season, so maybe he doesn't need to be the sniper on the line. We're up against a very hot Vancouver team, 39-19-3. We're not too far off. We're 34-19-9, so pretty decent. And we are currently sitting atop our division, 3 points ahead of the Jets, so very good news for us. How do we do against the Vancouver Canucks? We lose 6-5 in a shootout, and then again against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are decent, we lose 4-3 in a shootout. So back-to-back games that go to a shootout. That's not great for me, but the team still has to get used to itself and get working together. Barrett Hayton has had 3 points in 2 games. I know it's really small sample size, but that's looking good. Claude Giroux has not done the best. That's a small sample size that I'm willing to already panic on. We're gonna put Blake Coleman on that third line right wing. The veteran. That's a veteran line right there. I guess we'll see what they do. We're going to jump in the trade deadline here, but I think we've already made our move. I'm going to keep the current trade block so we don't get harassed and hounded too much. Enter the trade deadline. Here we are. Who's available? Rasmus Anderson, Mackenzie Weegar. Don't need any of those. Sidney Crosby would be great, but I'm not... It doesn't feel right to bring him in. Jared McCann, no. I don't think there's anybody who has changed my... Oh, maybe Darcy Kemper. Darcy Kemper is that backup. Can I bring him in as a... third string goalie, and hopefully he doesn't mess with anything for me. We'll send out Eric Olson. Could be good. Oh, we get a trade offer here. Hold on. 2 seconds in Boyko for 2 fourths. Forsberg in a 6th. That is a really bad trade. You know what? I thought about it in this split second, and I don't want to mess with the rosters. We just got them all set up. I think, if anything, we call up Talon Boyko, because maybe his sheer size will just block every puck from making it into the net. But then we are going to exit this trade deadline and finish off the season here. We're doing decently. We're, again, up and down, but we're picking up points at least 5, 2, and 3 now through our last 10. So we started the video 5, 3, and 2, went to 3, 5, and 2, and now we're at 5, 2, and 3. So very interesting progression through this video. But it's not too bad. We currently sit over 500. We'll see here if we can keep up and stay atop this division. Against the St. Louis Blues, we shut them out, so very solid game. Against the Nashville Predators, a 4-3 loss. It's a 1-goal loss, but it's a high-scoring game in my opinion, so I'm not very happy with it. Against the Florida Panthers here, a 6-4 loss. Okay, not looking too good. And then against the Ottawa Senators here, a 5-3 win. Okay. So we're just going to keep the goalie in. I can't remember who it is. I believe it's Robel. We're going to keep him in for this game against the Winnipeg Jets, who we are fighting for top of our division. We currently sit 5 points ahead of them. Let's see how we do. 6-5 shootout win. So we give them a point, but we get the extra one. So we keep a good distance on them. Krebs is starting to light it up, 53 points in 69 games. How is Hayden done since coming over? 8 points in 7 games, so he's done great. That top line. He's a -2, which is a little concerning, but they're doing good. Claude Giroux, since coming over, 1 point in 7 games and a -2. Oh, rough as hell. Dubois, 50 points in 69 games, and then Coleman with 25 points in 69 games. So I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't want to move Krebs off that top line. It's not looking good, but we're gonna experiment. We look like we're coasting for a playoff spot at least. We have a few games to tinker around with the lineup. 2 points in 7 games, but a -4 for Hag. So maybe Montour's just having a bad season. Pesci and Gerard are doing decent, and you know what? We are actually gonna make the change and put DeAndre Miller and Montour back on the top pair, and then Miller and Pesci on that second line, Hag and Myers on the third. I don't know if it's a good idea to be doing this. I want to see how they do. Maybe they bounce back. Maybe they put up more points and shut it down more. Is there a way, actually, instead of putting exactly back the way I had it, can I put Keandre Miller on the third still and run Hag on the top? Yeah, I can. Okay, so we'll try that quickly. We'll give it a 3-game stretch, and then we'll give Miller and Montour a 3-game stretch, and we'll see who does better. So against the Carolina Hurricanes here, I kept the goalie in. It's an 8-4 win. Against the Buffalo Sabres in game 71 of the season, it's a 4-1 win, and then a 3-game stretch coming to an end here against the Anaheim Ducks. And I don't know if you guys recall from the last video. If you haven't seen it, go watch it now. I usually say this, but go watch it now. And also, go subscribe, like, comment, subscribe on the videos. Subscribe to the channel. We've been growing great. We have a Montreal Canadian series out and a Be a Pro series out, and we are going to be putting out a new series very soon. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise series. It's coming out very soon. But we've done pretty good. But the one thing I wanted to say, if you had watched the last video, was that our schedule keeps repeating. Anaheim Ducks, back-to-back against the Leafs and the Penguins, back-to-back against the Stars and the Golden Knights, and then a back-to-back against the Kings and the Oilers, followed by a solo game against the Devils. Very familiar, right? Yes, because we've already done that this season. A game against the Ducks, back-to-back against the Leafs and Penguins, back-to-back against the Stars and Knights, back-to-back against the Kings and Oilers, and a solo game against the Devils. But have we done that earlier this season? We have. Solo game against the Ducks, back-to-back against the Leafs and Penguins, back-to-back against the Stars and Knights, back-to-back against the Oilers and Kings, and a solo game by the New Jersey Devils. I would love to keep that going, but I think 3 times is enough. Is that not insane to you that our schedule has just been repeating? I don't think it does it again this season. I think this is the last one, but still, it's a little weird that it's happening. But in the 3rd game of this stretch, this trial run, we go up against the Anaheim Ducks. Brock Besser is on the verge of 40 goals this season. Let's see if he can get it done. We're on the verge of 40 wins. 5-2-3 through our last 10. Against a decent Ducks team, we lose 5-3. So not too surprised there. We're currently 39, 22, and 11. We're going to see how our players did in their small spans. Now, we knew that Hag was a -4. Let's see how he's done now. He's even. It's worked. We're keeping it that way. Hrabel up to a 903, having played 40 games this season. We are going to run Gustafsson for the next, what are we at here? Game 72? We're going to run him for the next 5 games. We have 10 games left in the season. We're going to start him against the Toronto Maple Leafs here and just keep him through the next 2 back-to-backs. Against the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 4-2 win, and the second half of the back-to-back against a very struggling Pittsburgh Penguins, but we dropped to them a few times this season. Let's see how we do. A 4-1 win, 2 straight wins, and Besser hits 40 goals on the season. We're currently 9 points up of the next in our division, so I think we've got it locked here. I think if we win both of these games, we've clinched a playoff spot. Even if we win the Dallas game, we're going to win. Clinch a playoff spot. Let's see. Against the Dallas Stars, Gustafson's still in net. And it's a 3-2 win. It doesn't clinch us a spot net. So that means this one against the Knights, if we do get one here, we'll clinch the spot. Let's see. It's a 6-5 loss. Oh, not great. We're still sitting 7 points higher than the Avalanche in our division against the LA Kings. They are really bad this season. Please, Gustafsson, shut the door and get us in the playoffs. He almost does. 4-3 shootout loss. We pick up the point. We're still sitting 8 points over the next in our division. So I think it's pretty solid. I don't see the other teams knocking us out of that top spot. Gustafsson, 897, 40 games played, 21 wins, 3.22 goals against average. And then Hrabal still, they have identical records still. And Hrabal, for some reason, continues to face absurd amounts of shots. And he's the only one with a shutout this season. Maybe Hrabal is the goalie that I was talking about Gustafsson being, the one who can carry us. We're 7-2-1 through our last 10 games. Hrabal in net now. Let's see how we do against the Oilers. It's a 4-0 win, and does that do it for us? It does! The Butte Bandits have clinched their first playoff berth in franchise history off of stellar performances by a ragtag group of players. I know we added a lot of star power in the back end. Our forward core, though, in that first season, if you don't remember, go back and watch it, but if you need a refreshing, Sam Reinhart was our only good forward. And last season, before the Dubois trade, it was Besser and Blake Coleman who were really carrying us. This season is different. With 4 games left to go in the season, let's take a look at the stats quickly. We have Claude Giroux. Let's see how he's done. 8 points in 16 games. So on that top line, he's really started to contribute. Barrett Hayton with 20 points in 16 games. Did I expect him to do this good? No, I expected him to really play on the third line, but I was going to give him a trial on the first, and look what he does. Over a point per game. Brock Besser with 79 points in 78 games, including 41 goals. I think that's a career high for him. It is. Brock Besser sets his career high, age 29, with the Butte Bandits. If that's not screaming captain material, I'm not sure what is. He's not the captain, though. He won't be. We already announced who our captain will be. On the second line, Dominic Pruka with 61 points in 78 games, including 21 goals. So pretty decent season from him. And then Cooper Appleby, 78 games played, 40 goals, 31 assists, 71 points. I think that notches him the Calder. I think he has just won the Calder Trophy there. That is our future captain. That is the guy who just quietly put up a 40-goal season in his rookie campaign. Very tidy. Very tidy. And then Nikita Shabrikov with 68 points in 78 games. What a stellar season by that second line. I could not be happier with it. Third line, Peyton Krebs finished 50, or hasn't finished yet, but he's at 59 points in 78 games. So we'll see how he does in this final stretch. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 56 points in 78 games. I know we're paying him $8.3 million, I believe it is. $8.355 for the next 4 years after this one. That I don't mind that. This is much better than we have with Sam Reinhart, even though it's a year longer. Blake Coleman with 30 points on the season. Not bad at all. Harvey Pinard, 6 points. Not worth it. Lawton didn't leave that third line, or fourth line, and he got 30 points. Very nice. Where's Connor Garland? Did Connor Garland get sent down? Oh my gosh, that's the player I was missing. We had Connor Garland, right? He got sent down. I didn't even notice. Okay, so for the last 4 games, we're going to run Connor Garland back up here. Harvey Pinard, I don't care if I lose you on waivers, and I do to the Dallas Stars. But, oh, that's a divisional rival. That kind of sucks. But he, maybe it'll actually be a blessing for us because he didn't do anything there. That's where I was missing that scoring winger. So we'll keep Coleman there. No, we'll put Garland up. We're going to put Garland up. And we're going to see if that line does better in these last 4 games. I didn't even realize. Oh, hold on. That just sent me into a whole panic spiral. Let's quickly look at our defensive abilities and our defensive team. Nick Hague with 19 points in the season, 4 points in 16 games since joining us. Not bad, especially since we have him here just for Brandon Montour, who has 66 points. He's now minus 11. That's not too good, but it's not terrible. Sam Girard with 70 points in 78 games so far this season, plus 16. And then Brett Pesce with 32 points in 78 games, which is almost a career high for him. He has a chance to set a career high in these last 4 games. Keandre Miller with 25 points, so he's a plus 15 now. Great on that third line with Tyler Myers, who finishes with doesn't even finish yet, but he's currently a plus 29 with 21 points in 78 games. Very solid performance. And then Hrabal up to an 81, backup goalie, 905 save percentage through 41 games this season. He is doing great. We're going to run him for these final 4 games of our season and see just what happens. We've currently clinched a playoff spot, but can we clinch the division? Against the New Jersey Devils, it's a 5-4 overtime loss. I don't mind picking up a point, though. It really just helps us keep ahead. We're up against a really hot Arizona Coyotes team, so I guess they've done decently with the players that we sent them, but did we really even send them anything that good? We didn't send them Keandre Miller after all, so I'm not sure. I know we sent them Amadeus Lombardi, but maybe. Against the Arizona Coyotes, 9-1 and over in the last 10, and we dropped that one 5-2. All right, so I was gonna run Hrabal for the remaining 4 games, but we're gonna pull him out with 2 games to spare, and we're gonna put Gustafsson in net to round out this season. Hrabal still holding a .903 save percentage. Let's see, against the Montreal Canadiens, who are decent, we lose 4-3 in the shootout, and then against a powerful Vancouver Canucks team going into this final game with a little bit of a losing streak on our hands. Can Brock Besser finish the season with a point per game pace? Let's see. Final game of the season, 6-3 loss, and he doesn't get there. Little sad, but we do clinch the division, even though we dropped pretty much all of the last 4 or 5 games. We already looked at the stats. Let's just see if anyone had any really good performances. Drew hasn't been that great. Hayden has been stellar. Garland, in the few games he came up, I'm not sure how he's doing. I should have checked, but I think that's okay. Hag, Montour. You know, Hag's a plus. Montour is a minus. It's very interesting. And then Gustafsson, 896 through 42 games played. So Hrabal ends up, he was only supposed to be the backup and play like 10-15 games this season, but he ended up playing more games than Gustafsson and did better than him with 2 shutouts on the season. So very impressive, very impressive. We'll take a quick look around the league, not get too in depth with it because I am running out of time for this video. But we do see Cooper Appleby, 44 goals, second in team scoring with 75 points in 82 games. Shabrikov, 71 points in 82 games. Montour, 71 points in 82 games. So he's still putting up great points. And even Pruka down here, 65 points. Krebs gets above 60 points for the first time in his career. Dubois almost gets there. Very stellar. Very stellar. Let's look at the entire league. Who was the top point getter? And it was almost a tie between Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point. 126 points for Nikita Kucherov, 125 for Braden Point. And it looks like, hold on a second. I thought the goal scoring would go to Kucherov. It doesn't. It goes to Bedard, who had 70 goals this season. He's 20 years old and just put up 70 goals, 39 assists, 109 points. Matthews is doing great, 54 goals. Caulfield, 53 goals. Kaprizov, 55 goals. Jeff Skinner had 53 and 112, so it was a high scoring season. Even Caden Cyphers, the franchise player we missed out on, had 51 goals. But we are not going to be in the top 20 scorers. Best defenseman looks like it's either Adam Fox or Evan Bouchard, both of them notching over 100-point seasons. So, and goaltenders, the winningest goaltender was Frederik Andersen with 40 wins. Frederik Andersen with 40 wins in 63 games for the Detroit Red Wings. And the best save percentage among starters would have to go to Joel Hofer, who had a 906 through 61. Vanashek also there. Played 65 games, actually, so maybe he'll get it. Actually, Jari played 67 games, so maybe he'll get it. Is there another goalie? Demko played 65 with 39 wins, so it's going to be Demko who gets the best net this year. Schmid did great. Hrabel's in the conversation as a very breakout candidate this season. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. This team made the playoffs in their 3rd year. Did you expect it? Let me know in the comments if you expected the team to make it to the playoffs or expected me to get freaking frustrated again. But thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this video, please leave a like down below and let me know what type of content you want to see more of. And in the next video, we will take this team through the first round of their first Stanley Cup playoff berth. Let's see how they do. I'll see you guys in the next one.